I started doing this, I was telling you earlier, I was 28, I think, when I first started making records, but I started singing when I was about 18, 19. You know, I come from Oregon, and I made my way to California, and I got to Texas. My brother had a construction job there, and he told me there was other people that sang and things like that there. And I guess I thought maybe I'd like to be in a band or something. Really though, I just didn't do anything. And I was this friend, I was that friend, everybody has a friend that's always bumming a sofa or bumming a ride and always in trouble or whatever. And I was that person, and then I got to Texas, and I had met this guy named Trog, and he was playing me these Jerry Jeff Walker records. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He wrote that song, Mr. Bojangles. You know, what else you got to do after that? But he's this person that my friend played me these songs, and I felt like he was singing about the life I was living, only he was making it sound so fun and romantic, and it sounded like maybe you could even get a girl to hang out with you if you were living like that. And it really seemed like watching that, I felt like he put it was like everywhere, somewhere, if you look at it right. And I thought, right. And then I remember thinking in that moment, as he was singing, that it looked like the only real difference in my mind at that time between a freeloader and a free spirit was a couple of chords on a guitar. You know? And so the next day, I went and I got a guitar, and I started following him around. And I went to all his shows, and I would sit there and I would watch him play. And I learned the guitar from watching him, because he would just play up there. He didn't do all that shit down there. He would just sing about what he'd been doing. And I thought, shit, I could do that. I would go to the shows, and I would write letters to him. I would bring them, and then I would chicken out, and I would not give them to him. Or I would have this speech planned about how there was this connection between us that he needed to know about. And I would just, when I'd get up there, I'd get him to sign something else, and I wouldn't say anything. But I must have got him to sign a million things. And then one year, I was playing in Memphis, Tennessee. I hadn't made an album yet, but I was playing around, and Jerry Jeff was about to play this place called the New Daisy Theater, and I knew the guy that ran it, and I asked him if I could open the show, and he said that I could. And I knew that was going to be it. That was going to be my chance to say that thing that I wanted to say to him. And so I planned it out, and it started with, "This is the highlight of my life." And it was going to go on further about the whole gypsy tradition and all this bullshit. And then I went up and I did my show. Seemed like people liked it fine. And then afterwards I went back, and there he was, man. And like 6 feet away from me, standing there. And it was on, you know. But there was this chick that was standing next to him, yelling at him. And he seemed terrified of her. And at first I thought that was his girlfriend or his wife or something, but then it took me a minute, as I was hearing her yell at him, she was telling how great he was, but it seemed like she was yelling at him. And then I could be like, she'd snuck back there, and she didn't know him, and she just had that moment, and it just didn't look like it should have. And I remember I was sitting there thinking that, you know, like, so she's yelling at him, and I feel like I'm not going to get to meet him. And then she turns to me in this moment and says, "You sang too. Here, sign my poster." And that was exactly what she sounded like. I practiced that for all day. She said, "You sang too. Sign my poster. Jerry Jeff, turn around." And he turns around, and this will happen like this. She sticks this poster on his back and hands me a pen. And then all the times that I had dreamed this scenario through in my life where this was going to happen, this drunk fucking bitch from Memphis didn't even play a minor role in any of the scenarios that I played. And here she is dominating this, dominating. And I panicked and went right into my speech, which was a disaster. I just said, "This is the highlight of my life." And he didn't, well, he said, like this quickly, he said, "Boring life so far, kid." I I never forgot it. I took it personally. I started living even harder, and it seemed like a few years later, it was like only 2 years later, I got to make an album, and then all of a sudden I was touring, and I was on the road, and I had people helping me plan it, and I was hoping that I would meet him again and that he wouldn't remember that. And then I asked my manager, I said, if you ever get a chance to put me on a bill with Jerry Jeff Walker, give me that chance, because I want to meet him again. And so he gets me on some Labor Day festival, and I'm on the bill with him. I see him backstage. I just run right at him. I grab him and I hug him. I say, "You're like a fucking king to me." And he was looking at me like that chick at Memphis, you know. And I'm like, "No, I'm singing too." At that time, it didn't occur to me that didn't make it okay for me to grab him. No, I sing too. But then I said, "I know every word to every song. I have every album that you have." And he was like, "I doubt that." And I said, "I swear I did. Challenge me." And then as the years went by, that night we got to be good friends. And then over the years, hand to God, like 5 or 6 times now, I have beat him in Jerry Jeff Walker trivia contest. Crush it. He doesn't know what songs on what, man. And then my favorite thing about being a singer is I'll be in my hotel room, and he'll call me from his hotel room, and he'll have an old song of his that he wants to play, and he knows I know the words, and he can't do it. So he's become like a really gracious person in my life. And one year, I got to know him really good. I got to know his sense of humor, really. He called me and he said that he had this house in Belize. He's got fucking houses everywhere. Because it's Bojangles, right? Bojangles. So he's got this house down there, and he asked me if I wanted to come down there and snorkel with him because he said it was going to blow my mind, the coral reefs that were around this place that he lived. So I went down there, and he'd call me all the time and tell me what it was about and the different kind of reef it was. Then we get in this boat, we drive all the way out to it, talks to this guy, we go out further, and then he explains to me how to snorkel. I fall out of the back of the boat. I open my eyes, hand to God. When I say there was a bunch of sharks, I don't mean a couple or a few. I mean like a fuck ton. Like a horror film. Like a horror film situation. Everywhere. And below me, I swear to God, those stingray things, those fucking doormat looking things, everywhere. Not some, lots. Everywhere. And then like reef, coral reef, pretty reef, none. And I come up out of the water screaming like this horror film. And he's laughing. It's laughing so hard. I've never seen anybody that happy in my life. And I'm surrounded by sharks. I can't even get back to the boat. And I'm like, I'm surrounded by sharks. And he's laughing. He's like, it's cool, just swim at him. This was a joke he planned over months. I can't swim at them. They're like ducks. I'm like, they're not. You should see them. But when I swam at them, they were like ducks. And I got up out of, they just scattered. And then he told me this was like a petting farm for fucking sharks and stingrays. And he had tricked me into going there. And then, which is why I'm going to tell you this. Fuck him. This is good. I was in New Orleans one time, back in the day, I used to carry a tackle box, like a fishing tackle box, but I would have it be full of like all the drugs that people would give me and shit. Because we don't know, people just give you their drugs. And I don't do all of the drugs, but I might know somebody later that did. And we can't do them all at the same time, you know. Hence this tackle box that I would carry around for the overflow. And Jerry Jeff loved that fucking tackle box. And every time he'd come in and dress me up, where's that tackle box, boy? One drug that nobody in my generation got into was cocaine. And that very night in New Orleans, somebody had given me a bunch and I threw it in that box. And he looked in that box and went, whoa, jeez. And I used to roar on that shit in the 70s down here. I used to roar on that shit. And I'm the worst friend ever. I don't like cocaine. When he said that, I was like, well, we have to do this, you know. We have to. And so we decided to. Then we went to his house, and here's proof that I don't know how to do it. I just did a teeny little bit, and then you know how like if you catch a fish, and it goes on the boat bottom and it flips around, like that's what I did on his coffee table, almost immediately. And so he picks me up, and he takes me into the shower, and then the next thing I know, well, this part is shit. In fact, some of that too is just stuff they tell me happened, you know. But then when I woke up, I didn't know where I was. And in those days, sometimes you tell that what happened. You're like, okay, I'll get my bearings. Where are we? What town are we in? I'll find the band. And then I heard feet stomping, pacing. And I got scared. So there's somebody in here, and they're pacing, you know. And then I heard this voice say, "Never again, boy. Fucking never again." And then I was like, oh God, and I knew who that was, and it all came rushing back in a wave of humiliation. And I thought, I'm just going to pretend I'm asleep. And he's like, never again, boy, never again. He just kept saying it and saying it. And then finally he stops right on the edge of the couch, and he kicks it to wake me up. He goes, "Did you hear me?" I said, "Never again, boy." And I wake up. Okay, and here's this thing I should have told you. He doesn't wear clothes to bed. And he had gone to bed, woke up, angry, had to pace back and forth and say "never again, boy" over and over, so fast that he didn't adorn himself in any way, in any fabric whatsoever. So there I am, about waist high to this guy. And I'm not going to tell you what I saw, because you paid to get in and play. But I'll tell you this. Man, these days, even to this day, when somebody says, "Man, you want some cocaine?" I picture Jerry Jeff Walker's balls. It was like one step. Program. Try it. I might have just saved a life. But, forgive me for going on, but I gotta keep going. I guess it's been about 4 years ago now. He called me up and asked me if I'd ever had any time off in Santa Fe. I was like, not really, not that I remember. He goes, let's just go up there for no reason. He has a plane. I was like, fucking wrote Bojangles. So he comes and gets me in his plane and takes me up to Santa Fe, and we check into this hotel in this big, huge square, just off this big square, and we go make every bar on this square. We make a day of it. We make a night of it. He's telling me about the 70s in this town, and the 60s in this town, and the 80s in this town. And we're having a ball. We end up at the last place open. It's almost 3 a.m. We're the only two people in there, and the bartender's like, enough. You gotta go. So we get up and we start walking back to the hotel. And I swear to you, as God is my witness, as we were walking back to the hotel, we hadn't played a gig that night in town either. As we were walking back to the hotel, everything was closed. Everything. There was no cars. There was no people. There was nothing. There was nothing, not even cops. And as we were walking, I could hear this in the distance. So I looked at him. I said, you hear that? He said, I do. So we walked towards it. It was towards our hotel. We came around the corner, standing in front of this blues bar in the middle of the night with a hat on the crown, singing to nothing but the moon for all the right reasons that you could ever possibly sing a song. This guy is standing there just singing a song for the sake of it. And around the corner is coming the guy who wrote it 40 years ago. And nobody else. And I thought, in that moment, I have to be his best fan, at least in a cosmic sense. Something's letting me get to see this. And he's standing there in front of this guy's singing his song, and I'm thinking, I can't wait to tell this guy that wrote that song. when he gets over, I think, wait, that's not for me to do. I'm just getting to watch this. So it gets over, and Jerry Jeff says to that guy, pretty good son, huh? And yeah, I love that one. And he goes, I do too, I love that one. And he takes all his money, his keys, everything, fucks it down into that guy's thing, and we start walking towards the hotel. And as we're walking, I say, that was the highlight of my life. Because that was pretty good. That's true story. And if you don't mind, I know 100 people have sung this, literally. But I'm gonna do it for you. Blue man, Bojangles in, it dance for you. Worn out shoes, silver hair, ragged shirt, baggy pants, the old soft shoe. You jumped up so high, oh, you jumped up high, then you laughed the touchdown. Mr. Bojangles, yeah, Mr. Bojangles, yeah, Mr. Bojangles, come on, man. I met him in southern New Orleans when I was down and out. He looked to me to be about the eyes of age. It spoke right out. He talked of his life. He talked of life. He laughed, he slapped his legs and steps. He said his name was Bojangles, and then he danced a bit across our step. He grabbed his pants, prepared to stand, and jumped up high. He clicked his heels, and let go loud. Oh, let go loud. He threw back his clothes all around. Oh, y'all, yeah. Mr. Bojangles, yeah, now Mr. Bojangles, yeah, Mr. Bojangles, won't you come on, baby? Sit and dance for those at the minstrel shows and the county fair. Throughout the South, smoking tears for 15 years. Got a dog in him. They traveled about till that dog up and died. Though he up and died, for 20 years he still breathes. Now he dances every chance at the honky tonks for drinks and tips. He says most of the time though I spend behind these county bars, I'll drink me some beer. Shook his head, yeah, shook his head. I heard someone asking clear. Yeah, Mr. Bojangles, yeah, now Mr. Bojangles, yeah, Mr. Bojangles, come on, baby.
Woo!